So, I don't know why I always seem to get the last slot of the day, or nearly last slot. I think it's because it's time to pick up the energy. Right, everyone stand up. It's been a long day. There's been people eating sweets and ice cream. We're sugar crashing. Okay. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first question, if the answer to this question is yes, stay standing. Stay standing if you're really on top of all your messaging. Your WhatsApp, your inbox, your text messages, your Slack, your Google, your Teams. Oh. Unsurprisingly, I think that's over half of you have sat down. Okay, question 2. You smug people still standing up. Stay standing if you feel like you get really great work-life balance. You get to do golf or hang out with your kids or do karate, learn Spanish, play guitar. Really great work-life balance. A few more have sat down. We still have some smug people. Okay, my last and final question. If you are still standing up, I'm very impressed. Stand up if you really feel like every day you prioritize your mental and physical well-being. Wow. Okay, out of a room of about 500, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, you lot, 8. You could spend the next 20 minutes on your phones. Everyone else, listen up. Well done. So, most of us need to slow the fuck down. And let me tell you, I run a business that we're all about helping leaders slow the fuck down and work out what matters. I run Glow London. We're all about helping drive change, working out what really matters to drive growth, because most of us are effectively drinking from a fire hose. Does that feel relevant? There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure at the moment. The world's going completely mad. At least we have a new government. Let's hope they do some good stuff. But everyone is overwhelmed, and what we do is we help people focus. And I know what it's like to not focus. So I am a mum of 4. I run Glow, but I also, till recently, was on the global social media business, on the exec team there. I'm a trustee of a charity called the Marketing Academy Foundation, which is amazing. If anyone wants an apprentice, find me at the cocktails. I'm on the PTA. Anyone here on the PTA of their kids' school? We're mad. It's madness, even the WhatsApp alone. And this is a snapshot of me going back to May 2022. So this is a typical week for me. Actually, the week before I was in Chicago with WPP. And rather than go straight to New York, I thought I'd fly home for a couple of days because I have 4 children. And in my head, they were all starving and scratching at the door. Not true. They were with grandma. They were eating sugar and on their devices. Couldn't have been happier. This is me having a busy week, running, partying. And this last picture here was taken at 12:08. Last day we were there. We were about to get on the flight. And the next thing I knew, I woke up to this. And I had a cardiac arrest. Now, for those of you that don't know what a cardiac arrest is, which I didn't, I thought it was American for heart attack, but it isn't. A cardiac arrest is lights out. And 90% of people that happens to outside of a hospital, like me, die. But I was very lucky that day. I was in a restaurant called Nomo in Soho, where there were 3 people having brunch who were doctors and who saved my life. And of the 10% of people who survive, 60% get brain damage. I think my husband might argue that I do have a bit, but... So I stand before you, one very, very lucky lady. And while I was left on my own with my phone in the hospital, I thought I would share the fact that this big awakening I had when I finally worked out what happened, my biggest thought was, what the fuck have I been doing? What the fuck have I been doing with my time? And I shared it on LinkedIn. Anyone here remember seeing this? Because it kind of broke LinkedIn. It got 9 million views. It was reposted thousands of times. This is out of date. I mean, it's now had 10,000 comments. And they weren't little comments like, great, good luck, get well. They were people pouring their hearts out. One guy in advertising talking about going to a pitch knowing he had a heart attack, going through the pitch and asking the suit on the way out to please take him to A&E. Our industry is completely mad, what we do with our time. So what did I learn? Well, interestingly, what I learned I knew already, because I'm an NLP practitioner. I have been involved with a human behaviour business called Planet K2 since 2006. I know about this stuff, but I was a hairdresser with bad hair. And here's the three things. One, Tara mentioned manifestation before. Manifest, don't stress, make better choices, and prioritize well-being. They sound really obvious. This is kind of the idiot's guide to a lot of the special stuff that we've heard already. I'm not a scientist, but I'm someone who knows about this stuff. So manifestation is about time. You can have anything you want in life. I genuinely believe that. There are two conditions with which that must be true. One is to know what you want, and often that's the difficult bit. And then it's to know you can have it. And this is how it works. Here is the science. So our unconscious minds, that's system one bit, that's doing 95% of the work. Visualize that as a massive horse, and your conscious mind, your system two, is like a tiny jockey hanging onto the edge of a mane. That unconscious mind does not understand time. So as soon as you think something, it creates a memory from it, puts it into the hippocampus, and it thinks it's actually happened. It doesn't know the difference between a thought and a reality, which is why we are spending most of our lives in a past that we cannot change, by the way, or a future that hasn't happened yet. There's also a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. Now, that is your filter. So any second, we're receiving millions and millions of bits of information. We can feel the blood rushing through our bodies if we really focus on it. And your RAS is the thing that filters out what you notice or not. Ever had a new car, and suddenly your new car is everywhere? Everyone's got it. Or if you're a woman who's ever wanted to have a baby, every bitch is pregnant. I'm 51, I have 4 children, I don't ever want to see a nappy again. I don't see pregnant women. It's your RAS that's noticing. So imagine combining those two things. Number one, if you really decide to believe something and focus on it, your unconscious mind will think it's real. And number two, if you choose something in the future, your RAS will filter out all the other stuff. Nuala talked about it. You're tuning in to the thing that you want. Because the reason this works is because it's all driven by belief. Your unconscious mind, if you believe something will go badly, it will. If you think and believe something will go well, it will. And I say belief. I don't mean hope or wish. You really have to believe it. Because if you believe it, your belief influences your feelings, which influences your behavior, which influences your outcome, which then reinforces your belief. So, for example, think I'm going to do well in this. I believe I'm going to do well. I will feel more confident. I will behave more confidently. I will smash it. And so here's what to do to not stress, is create your outcome. This is how I live my life every day, in the smallest of ways. Set my outcome. We talked about, anyone do the postcards? That is exactly manifestation. I would urge you to go to a date in January and write your day, your ideal day. I'm waking up at 6:30. I'm going to do yoga that I now do 3 times a week because I'm really prioritizing myself after hearing Emma Harris's cardiac arrest terrifying story. I am going to work. This is my commute. Live it, breathe it in the present tense and create that memory in your mind. And then you can relax. Do a vision board. I do vision boards every year. All of it will come true if you believe it, because your belief will tell your horse where to go. Today, I wasn't worried. I didn't stress. I visualized all of you giving me the biggest round of applause, practically a standing ovation, if you want, when I finished. And then I relaxed. Not yet, at the end. But good practice. Because, and we do this with our clients, we do this at work, right? Your teams will, if they believe what your strategy is, that they can get there, if they believe your vision, their horses will take them there. Without belief, if you're sitting there going, right, we're going to achieve that massive goal over there, and they're sat here, that feels very overwhelming. There's a process that we call using the neurological levels. We go to that future and we talk in the present tense and we describe capabilities we have, beliefs we have, behaviors we're seeing, what's changed, and we live it and breathe it in the present tense. Then you go back to today. That's a bit like therapy, reliving it all. And then you build, what's the change? What's the difference between there and there? And that is how you drive belief. And then the output of that is what you have is your focus areas of what's going to drive the change. Now, this is about making better choices. This is a big thing I've chosen differently. Here's my headline: work out what matters and prioritize it in life, in work, in everything. Because before I was ill, This is what I thought was important. Money. When I get that job, I had 10 years at Eurostar. When I get that job, when I get that money, when I get that car, when I get that flat, when I'm thin enough, whatever the fuck it is, then I'll be happy. We put this happiness in front of ourselves. Let me tell you, when you wake up in ICU and realize you nearly left a 5-year-old behind, none of this shit really matters. And often, to protect the thing that we know really matters, we're doing this because we're telling ourselves stories that don't exist. Our unconscious mind that's doing all that running means that actually our time that we're spending, think about what time you spend doing all this stuff versus the time that you spend with a thing that actually matters. And a lot of people say to me when I talk about slow the fuck down programs, they're like, I don't want my team to slow the fuck down, I want them to speed the fuck up. Well, let me tell you, you're all laughing because you were thinking the same, but let me tell you that people who are focused with priorities, that are looking after themselves, that prioritize their own well-being, that understand performance, perform better. This is about growth. Think about it, short-termism, head down, focusing day to day, numbers. If you're slowing the fuck down, you're on long-term, you're on strategy, you're thinking about your brand, you're thinking about the longer tail. But often our decisions are made by those stories we're telling ourselves. Fear. I worked with this woman who would not leave her phone at home for 30 minutes to go for a walk. When I unpacked the story, and it took me a while to get her to actually listen to the unconscious story she was telling herself, it was, if my phone rings and I don't answer it, my reputation will get damaged, I'll lose my job, I'll lose my house, I'll die on the streets. Now that sounds crazy, but what happens is with that fear of I've got to go to that meeting, I've got to do that thing, we're not really listening to the story, we're just having the feeling. And we're making decisions based on thoughts and feelings that don't exist. Now, I'm not negating the mental health struggles that we and our teenagers have, but our thoughts can be chosen. And this is the big power I've taken back. Why am I doing this? I'm going to say no. FOMO. Hands up who's got FOMO. My FOMO, a lot of us. In marketing, I think we do have FOMO. We drink a lot, right? I seem to have this fear that the minute I leave a bar, Beyonce will walk in and make best friends with everyone in the bar. Apart from me, they'll all go and live in her LA mansion. Apart from me, I don't know what it was. Now I have JOMO. I'm in bed with the dog, watching Netflix. Everyone's going to be hungover tomorrow. Brilliant. Guilt. I'm Jewish. I'm a mum. There's a lot of guilt. But often, why did I fly home from Chicago? Because I was imagining the kids were dead. It was rubbish. It doesn't exist. FUPO, fear of other people's opinion. That is something we make decisions, not only our own thoughts and feelings that don't exist, we're imagining the thoughts of other people that don't exist, and we're making decisions upon it. Disassociate yourself from your thoughts and learn to say no. This is a Warren Buffett quote. I'm conscious I've gone over time. I will carry on. The difference between people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost anything. The minute you decide that that thought is just a thought, it's like putting a pin in a balloon. Anyone see it Inside Out? Inside Out 2 is even better. We all have these little people. I personify them. I give them names and I make friends with them. The middle of the night when we're hearing that noise, we think it's us. It's just a part of us. That negative, you're a piece of shit, everything's going to go wrong, everyone's going to die. Take the mic off it, but don't be afraid of it. It always has a positive intention for you. Get to know all your little people and your little voices and make friends with them. And my last slide, and then I will be quiet. This is all about your performance. So prioritizing your well-being. This is the athlete at work principle. Athletes think we're bonkers. Either side of a peak are two valleys. Business people run at everything. If we were to put this into a pie, we'd all be tactical. Diary. Considering your physical well-being, your water, sleep, sugar, all the things that we do, we should look at that as part of our performance. Mental, we've talked about focus, manifestation, outcomes. Emotional, we've talked about whether we listen to our thoughts or not. Contextual, making sure the people you hang out with give you energy, not the mood hoovers that suck the life out of a room. All this stuff, think about what you need to do differently to look after yourself, because slow the fuck down is about improved performance. And that was my big learning. And if you want to hear more about this stuff, follow me on LinkedIn. I talk about it all the time. And I thank you for listening.